Hi everyone, it's Cherie here. Today I've got another layout for you using the gorgeous Zoey kit from Felicity Jane. Now I'm going to do another birthday page because this kit is just so perfect for birthday layouts. I'm using a photo from my daughter's 10th birthday, which was this year, and I've gone with the bold stripe paper from the kit, which is just absolutely gorgeous. I love the combination of colours on this, and I've cut the branding strip from that paper, which is this lovely spot. You can see there. It's from the Bows and Bold Stripes paper. I did have two pieces of that paper, and I've already gone ahead, cut some wide strips from that striped paper, and using my fringing scissors, I've gone ahead and already cut fringing along the length of those two pieces. So I'm going to use those as part of my page design today. Now, to embellish my page, I've got the chipboard numbers. They're just so gorgeous. I love that each number is a different colour and pattern. So I've got those for the number 10. And I've also got a combination of the die cut pieces, the little sequins, the banner pieces, and a few of the tiny tags as well from the kit. And I'm thinking I'll make a banner with those to go across my page. I've also got more of the die cut pieces and some of the acrylic shapes as well to use on the page, so I love those too. And I'm hoping to use some stamps on my layout as well. So I've got the Zoey stamp set that was included in the kit, and then I've also got the Hooray stamp set to use too, so I love both of those. This Hooray set is available in the Felicity Jane store if you like those. And I've got the puffy shapes there too, ready to go. So I'll get into it and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so my white cardstock was already trimmed down to size, and I'm just tucking those two fringed pieces under each side of that white cardstock. My cardstock is already centered on the page, so I'm ready to just go ahead and stick those fringed pieces down. So I'm using a little piece of thin double-sided tape across the top of each of those strips, and then I'm just carefully positioning those under the edge of the white cardstock before I stick it all down properly. And then I'll be ready to go ahead and add those two dotty strips. Now they are still at the 12-inch length at the moment, so I'm just working out how long I like those and making sure they're both cut to the same length. And then I can go ahead and stick those pieces on as well. So again, I'm just using some double-sided tape on those, sticking those down into place. I'm just sticking them along the edge of that white cardstock on both sides. Then I can grab my sewing machine out, and I'm going to add a couple of rows of stitching down those strips and then across the top and bottom of that white cardstock. So I'm just grabbing my machine out now, and there we have it. The stitching is all done and I'm ready to add my other bits and pieces to the page. So I've got my photo roughly in the center. I've got the chipboard numbers, two of the acrylic pieces that says celebrate at the top and happy day on that little speech bubble, and I've already gone ahead and threaded all of those little die cut pieces onto the thread that came with the tiny tags pack in the kit. So that's roughly how I'm thinking I'm going to have everything on the page. So now I can start sticking things down. So just a bit of tape run on the back of my photo, and I'm going to use my T-square ruler just to make sure that's centered and then nice and straight as well. Then I'm going to add that happy day piece to the top of my photo. Now I decided that I was going to staple it with my tiny attacher, so in the end I just removed that photo again, staple it on, and then put that back down into place. So I'll just do another quick check to make sure that that's centered and nice and straight, and then I'll be able to stick that down properly. Okay, so moving on to those chipboard numbers now. And I've got one of the little tiny tags that says today out of the tiny tags pack, and I want to add that just to the side of that 0. So I'm getting a little bit more twine, and I'm thinking I was going to add a couple of tails just hanging down off that tag, but it didn't look quite right, so I've made a little bow and trimmed those ends off, and I'm just using a little foam square behind that tag to stick that down onto the side of that 0. So I'm ready to stick those down. I'm using some tape runner on the back of those numbers, and they're going into place. Then I realized I've put the pink at the top of the 0, so I'm just going to flip that around, otherwise my little tiny tag would have got lost. So that bit's done, and now I'm going to add that Celebrate acrylic piece, and acetate piece I should say. I'm just using my tiny attacher to add that onto the top there, just making sure it's nice and flat as I staple it on so that there's no warping at all. Okay, so now for my banner that's going to go onto the page now, and at first I thought I'd use my tiny attacher to add that to the page, but then it didn't quite reach in far enough. So I grabbed some brads out of my stash. I haven't used brads for a really long time, but I do still have a nice big jar on my shelf. So I managed to find a really pretty blue and a nice pink that really did match the other bits and pieces in this kit perfectly. So I've used my paper piercer and I've just poked a hole through my page, and I'm just fiddling about. It took me a little bit too long, but I had to try and catch the thread into the back of that brad there, just so that it secured it nicely into place. So I finally get that side on, and now I'm going to do the same for the other side, and I'm just using my T-square ruler once again just to get that second hole around the same level as that first one. So again, just poking a hole using my paper piercer and catching the thread into the back of the brad, and then I can poke that through and that will be all secured nicely. Okay, so now I can fiddle about, make sure all those little pieces are sitting nicely and nicely spaced. And it does take a little bit of fiddling, but I do get there in the end. I love all these fun little bits and pieces. I haven't made a banner for quite a while on my pages, and this was really fun to do. Okay, so I'm going to use some really tiny little foam dots just to stick those little pieces down so that they don't move around as soon as I move the page. And there you go, you can see they're all nicely in place now. So now I can do a little bit of stamping on my page. So I'm going to start off with the Yay, Hooray and Make a Wish from the Hooray stamp set, and then I've got another stamp from the Zoey stamp set that says Something to Smile About. So I'm just stamping Yay up the top right there, and the Hooray I'm going to put just to the left of that number 1. Now I've got the Make a Wish stamp that I'm just going to do another test of. I'll give you a little look at that. It's a nice stamp, this one, and I'm just going to put that underneath the banner. Then under that stamp I'm going to stamp the Something to Smile About. So just deciding where I'm going to put that, and I decided to put it directly underneath. Okay, so that's my stamping done, and now I've got those cute little puffy stickers to use as well. So I thought at first I'd use the little white stars, but then I decided to swap over to the little black and white stripy ones instead. So I've got one right at the very bottom of the page, and then I'm going to pop another one at the top right of that Celebrate word, and another little star just to the left of that number 1. And that's my page complete. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this page come together today. I'll pop a link down below to the Felicity Jane store if you're interested in any of these beautiful products. Please let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll leave you with some close-up photos to show you all the little details. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back again very soon with more to share. Bye for now.